You're listening to Two Babies in a Business, a podcast where my partner Peter and we talk all about business, parenting, and partnership. We run CIPR Communications, a marketing and communications firm out of Calgary, Alberta, servicing a whole bunch of different amazing clients. We're picking topics out of a tin can. Peter's told me to do it quicker, so here we go. I'm picking it quickly. You like this one? Gratitude.
Ooh, one of my favorite topics, gratitude. So yeah, I guess we have no structure about how we're going to talk about this. So
Just that we're going to cover business, parenting, and partnership.
yeah. So first of all, I guess maybe I will start with certainly
How grateful you are for me.
how grateful I am for Christina as my business and life partner. No, I am. It's true. I'm really grateful, but it's not really one of our core values per se, although I feel like it's core to our values, if that makes sense. So
Of our business.
Of our business, yeah. So like our core values, one of them is more like kindness, and client focus and confidence and kick-ass. Those are our four core values. But to me, gratitude is sort of this underpinning concept in our business that I think we as business owners especially really try to sort of instill an attitude of gratitude. I think not taking anything for granted, being thankful is just so critical, right? So obviously it's critical to happiness. It's critical, but I think it's critical to business success because, it could all end. Something could happen. There's like things happen all the time, right? So I think you got to just count your lucky stars every single day and be vocal about it. So
Yeah. I think gratitude is an interesting one. I mean, I have been doing affirmations every morning for a long time. I journal in the morning when I wake up. And I read a book. I was actually just like looking for it in my Audible because I didn't read it. I listened to it. So that's another whole other thing. Um, there was one book I read that was really good called Living Life as a Thank You. Um, it's by Nina Lesowitz and Mary Beth Salmons. I also started I didn't finish it. I moved on to something else, but that doesn't mean it wasn't awesome. The Life-Changing Power of Gratitude, 7 Simple Exercises That Will Change Your Mindset. This is Mark Reclu, something. But especially the thank you piece, I think, for me, affirmations was like about, okay, what's next? I'm not a goal setter, so it was helping me kind of move myself forward. And I really changed my mindset of journaling after that. So I have 2 sections in my journal that I use that are kind of freehand notes, and they used to all just be affirmations. And it's probably been the last, I don't know, when I was 6 months, probably, that one side is dedicated to things I'm grateful for, and the other side is pushed towards affirmation. And I think some of the powerful stuff for me, and kind of listening to those books, but also hearing you read a lot on gratitude too, and reflecting, is just once you start to become grateful for truly grateful, not that I wasn't grateful before, but really reflect on what you're grateful for, you start to attract those things into your life too. So, it could be as
yeah.
simple as being grateful for great clients, or being grateful for health, or being grateful for, little things like that. Sometimes it's a very, I'm grateful for that conversation I had, or I'm grateful for that specific, mountain I conquered in my whatever daily life. It's been a very positive shift for me, I'm going to say, in all aspects, business, partnership, and parenting, because it just like gives me a minute to, instead of trying to set the next goal, but to
Yeah.
like be thankful and like appreciate something that has just happened, or maybe not happened, but like is a part of my day-to-day life that I forget is important to me.
Totally, yeah. And I think you kind of mentioned a couple things there, and maybe I'll just sort of summarize them a little bit in the sense that like I think the practice of gratitude. So I think gratitude's a practice, and it's sort of a habit, or something that you can turn into a habit, and something that we do, I think, is in our company quite a bit, and we're starting to do more and more in our family life, is having some what's the word I'm looking for, some rituals around sort of the
Yeah,
idea. And again, it's not specifically about gratitude per se, but we we have our cultural kudos, where we give kudos to somebody on our team for living one of our cultural values. That's a daily
totally.
practice that we've instilled in our business. We have our daily affirmations as a team, that everybody shares their affirmation for the day, and I think that sets people up with the right mindset in the beginning of the day.
And sometimes it's
Certainly.
hard. Like I think that there's this testament about gratitude or affirmations or giving people compliments or kindness where it's like, okay, yeah, that's the thing you do, and yeah, people do that. But it's not easy, like especially Monday morning.
Yeah.
Hey, who wants to give someone kudos on the team for doing well, we haven't even seen each other all weekend.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
sometimes, sometimes it's just more, and you were impeccable at this, just being able to say, I'm giving it to the whole team. We all showed up to you today. Like, let's be grateful we're all here.
Yeah.
It's not easy. And I think it's very easy to just like fall out of a habit with that. Oh, yesterday wasn't great. Oh, okay, maybe. But
Yeah.
like instilling it as like this is how we start our day as a business, about being
Yeah.
grateful to one another and like saying we're gonna get shit done today, I think
Yeah.
is very powerful. And
Totally.
we
Oh yeah, no,
need that.
100%. And those rituals are critical, right? And I think in our, one of the little, on the family side, one of the little gratitudes that we've sort of started implementing is just thank you for the food, right? And thank you for the dinner, right? Or whatever, when we sit down as a family to eat. I think that's so important. And it just sort of reminds everybody that, what, hey, we're all together, we're eating, and there's really something to be thankful for. And the other
Has
one,
that has that affected you at all? Because you're usually the like the cooker. That is one of the roles you play. One of the hats you wear in the family is typically
chef.
making meals. I know that's sometimes very grindy. Like, does that, when
It's really
Jake,
helped me a lot. And I'll say, like, Jacob, our picky eater, sometimes, the thing that was his favorite thing to eat, 3 days ago, now it's like he looks at it and he's just disgusted and is just appalled, and he can barely, you know what I mean? And it's like, I've just, like, busted my ass to get, supper on the table. And then it's like, that's the reaction he has. But like, he still has the practice of saying, thank you for the food, right? And so it does at least sort of make that a little bit easier for me, and I appreciate it a lot. It certainly makes me feel good about it. And I love, especially when our kids are the ones that are leading it, right? They remember, oh, we got to say thank you for the food, right?
they do better than I do.
They do better than you do, which is awesome. And then at the end of the night, we have a kind of a practice, a gratitude practice, as well as a family, that we do with the kids in bed. And it's and we ask each kid to name, and we also name what things you loved about the day,
Something that
things.
happened. So what did you see today? And
What did
like
you see today?
the thought around that is, like especially for kids, like sometimes I would say 90% of the time it's very predictable, right? Like I saw this funny thing or something they've already told us about, but sometimes they'll say something and a conversation will start about something that they haven't spoken up about. So it gives them a platform. And then what did you love about today? So again, not this like, what are you grateful for? But I lately Jacob has been really focused around like I loved spending time with my family today. And
Hmm.
that's
That's
obviously very
gratitude.
special and it's gratefulness, or I loved today. I think Bartek was Christmas concert this week. There's definitely lots of gratitude and talking about that and the
Yeah.
experience of his first Christmas concert. So and then we do what do we love about each person. So sometimes you and I leave each other out from a get to bed perspective,
Yeah.
but it's a practice for the boys who brothers are brothers, and you always want them to go to bed feeling a way about each other. So what do you love about your brother? And then what does mom love about him? What does dad love about him? And then what do you love about yourself? And
Yeah. Of
again, that's gratitude to me, right? I'm
course, it's
grateful. The
gratitude.
boys will say, I love that I'm strong, or I love that I'm a fast runner, or I love that I'm considerate. And those are, it's definitely
Yeah.
It's I love those moments as our family. That's
Yeah,
something.
and sometimes it's a rush to get to bed and it's late and it's whatever, but I would say we slow down and we take our time to do that, and we always do that thoroughly. And so yeah, I mean, I would say as a, in terms of sort of, I would call quote unquote gratitude practices, formal, if it's completely gratitude focused or not, I would say that because both of you and I journal in the morning. And both of us have some gratitudes that we put into our journal in the morning. So it's a couple minutes. And then we have our team huddle gratitude, sort of, moment of gratitude. And then we have our end of the day with our kids, plus our supper. So, like 4 different moments in our day where there's a deliberate practice around sort of, thankfulness and gratitude. And I got it, for me personally, it really, it improves my day, improves my mood, grounds me a little bit in terms of what we're doing here. Right. And sometimes kind of can diffuse when I'm feeling away, or I woke up, not feeling 100% or whatever. Right. So I think it's just an incredibly important practice. And I encourage everybody to adopt some kind of habits around gratitude if you can.
Well, and I just remembered this now, but even when we used to work not at home and not for CIPR, remember in the car rides in the morning we used to do, I don't even remember really how this started, but like what went well yesterday, or what was that? What did I love about yesterday? And
Yeah.
what do I hope for today?
Something.
And
Yeah.
I think, we're very ahead of our time in terms of, affirmations and gratitude, which is a part of our daily vocab. But really that was, gratitude for something that happened yesterday and affirming something for today.
Yeah.
And we used to do that as like a way to just talk about things in the car, get in the right mindset. And I don't even remember, like, again, I don't remember what turned us on to doing that, but I do remember it grounding us in the day.
Totally.
Yeah, no, I think it's important. Again, I think gratitude is hard. I don't think it's an easy thing, but I think once you start it, it becomes simple.
Yeah.
And there's something habitual about it. There's something, again, I'll say about like journaling. It's something that when I do fall out of habit, because you do, stuff comes up, you miss it, right? Like you miss it
Yeah.
like that, it's with your tea in the morning, it's with your whatever.
Yeah.
It's it's definitely, yeah, it's definitely interesting. I think
Yeah.
especially everything that's been talked about gratitude and affirmations, and I think a bit of buzzwordy in self-care right now.
Yeah,
Right?
they
But
probably are, but for a good reason, I think. Like,
yeah.
yeah, I mean, I would just say that, like, I'm so obsessed with the kind of concept of self-talk and the stories
Yeah.
we tell ourselves, and change your stories, change your life. Like I really went through, and I'll say I went through a period, through kind of COVID where I was not great mentally. And then I just changed the story in my head and I changed my life. And gratitude is a major part of that. It's a very significant part of that. And even if it's like 5 seconds of gratitude, it just if you're thankful for something, you can't be worried about something or complaining about something. You can't do both things at the same time, right? And so it just automatically shuts your brain towards, or moves your brain towards one direction over the other, because you can't do both things at once, right? And so there's something powerful about that. And obviously the more you can do it, and the more you can have positive self-talk, and the more affirmations you can do, whatever, self-love, all of those things, then you can start to change your life by changing the story in your own head, right? And I think gratitude is maybe the foundation of all of it.
I do too. Okay, gratitude as partners and married people. I think this one is hard because I think that the rhythms of life get in the way. Like I don't like there's not this practice of, like, I think we're very fortunate to have this practice of around, like, okay, what does everyone love about mommy at the end of the night? And you have to say something. I have to say something about myself. But
I have to.
you have to say something nice to me. But I just think the rhythms of life and partnership, I don't think we're going on 10 years married this year. Yeah, I don't think any relationship will say, with consistency throughout their whole married life, they were consistent in doing this one thing to show gratefulness. I mean, a few things that we implemented this last year. We have the paired app, and we don't do it with the daily rhythm. But to me, it's even if we're playing catch up, like there's little tidbits in there where it's like, things I didn't know you appreciated about me
Hmm.
that happen. I think that for me, because like one of my love language, my strongest love language is words of affirmation. I think that that's very important to me. And there are moments in our relationship where I can pinpoint, you know, needing that, and you being able to come and write me an email that's not, here's something to onboard. But like an email where, you say nice, nice things, and right, like this gratefulness of a couple, and being together and just being able to vocalize that, I think is
Yeah.
important and
But I
interesting
think
because it's hard.
interestingly though, in a couple scenario, it's not always words. And so,
True.
I would say one of the habits that we've sort of recently re-implemented, interestingly. So, we used to have this dog, our dog Max, who unfortunately passed away last year, and he used to have his spot on the couch. And so that when we'd watch, we have our 45 minutes of TV at the end of the night and our sort of wind down time. Now we sort of have this, Christina has what she calls her spot, which is a nice, just sort of in my arm. She lays down just sort of right over here, and it's her comfortable warm spot or whatever. And I feel like that's a bit of a, it's not, we're not using words, but that's something, it's something that gives us both comfort and we're both very grateful for. I feel like it connects us. And so it's a
Yeah.
practice that's somewhat of a gratitude practice, not necessarily with words, but it's sort of, we're grateful for each other, we're showing each other our love. Holding hands, I feel
Yeah.
like, like when those moments where we're driving in the car and we decide to hold hands, or we're walking and we hold hands, or right at the dog park, if we embrace each other and put our arms around each other. Like, again, those aren't words of gratitude, but those are actions of gratitude, I think, and actions of love. And I think so they're still kind of our habits, if you will, and things that we do, I think, that show each other and sort of
So
give each
I
other
think
the feeling of gratitude.
I think for sure. And I think that similar to like this like habit of journaling where I like journal grateful things, and like I'm confident I show up in your journal sometimes, whereas I know you're confident you show up in mine. But
Definitely.
like,
Today you showed up in mine because we have no kids. We're kid free, so my whole
so
day is all about Christina.
all right. but but like there's habit, like I said, like there are moments where I will, I'm sure we'll talk about this at some point, but I've been dealing with some like how allergies, health stuff over the last several months. And so there was a good month there where I was just sleeping a lot, so I was missing my morning routine, 4 out of 7 days a week, and you have to get back into it. And I think similarly in our partnership and in your marriage, you just get into these habits of, okay, there's funny Instagram reels and TikToks about, okay, now we're going to sit on opposite sides of the couch and send funny memes to each other for the rest of the night. And
Mhm.
yeah, like, Max sat on one side of the couch, I sat on the other. You were kind of in the middle petting Max and, giving me attention too. But it's true. It's just this habit. And there are definitely nights where I think we're both sitting there, and there are moments where we come closer together because we've consciously made this like, oh, hey, let's do this. And let's have this moment where we show that we're grateful for one another for a second. And
Totally.
again, once it becomes a habit, I feel like it's easy. But like once the habit is broken, gratefulness, especially for some personality types, I don't think is this natural state. I think
Yeah.
that the way our society is, the news, the this kind of doom and gloom, there's lots of negativity, like that is like a really big default for society,
Yeah.
right? I have a sticky note on my desk that says, how have you talked positively today? And not because I don't talk positively, but because when you're in this situation or when you're with certain people, you can get into a real negative spiral really quick about
Yeah.
stuff that's going on. And so this habit and habits we create about positivity, which again, I don't think is quote unquote gratefulness, but I think you can't do one without the other.
100%.
Um,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't be positive and negative at the same time. You just can't. And so
No.
so if you're have a bunch of habits and a bunch of, things you do around gratefulness and positivity and affirmations and all those things, and that just forces your mind in one direction. And I think that's the key. So there you go. Gratitude. Have an attitude of gratitude.
I like
And
that. You just made that up.
I didn't make that up. No,
Really?
that's an old one. But and I think important to have rituals around your day where you can, practice gratitude. I think that's the most important thing that's changed my life, and I know changed your life. And can I just say that I'm thankful that you've just. I have a lot of gratitude towards you, because I feel like you've just had this incredible positivity around yourself, and that's more than it has been in the past a little while. Past in general, I just feel like you're more
Yeah.
positive. So I'm
Yeah.
thankful for that.
Thank you. Thank you for recognizing that. Again, I think just like there are certain personality types. I think it's personality types. I also think it's just like, I don't necessarily think upbringing, but like you're probably at some point going to talk about programming. Like I just think there's like, you're programmed to see things a certain way, and your experiences dictate that. Obviously, I think there's both nature and nurture in those things. And
Yeah.
I think there's also something about that in your, my whole life being, you're pegged a certain way. You are this. So you think about things this way. You are a hard personality. You are, we said it already, this, tough but fair. You are this, you are that. And I've really challenged myself about, okay, I've always called myself never pessimist, but a pragmatist. But
Hmm.
it's like, hey, I'm actually pretty optimistic.
You
And
are, yeah.
I don't necessarily think I've changed my way of thinking. I think that I've made some realizations about things. And I think that, all the things we've talked about so far, process and hats and everything allows me to think about things
I
differently.
actually
I also think I'm potentially getting older, and I've just had some realizations about life.
Christina's yeah, she's reaching an age. She's reaching an age. I've crossed, yeah, anyways, but yeah, no, I actually don't think that you've changed. But I do want to talk about sort of programming and nature and nurture at some point on some episode. But I think you've become more yourself and more in tune with yourself, which is a more optimistic person than I think you've been programmed to believe you are.
Yeah.
And again, it's not a negative. The programming isn't a negative. It's just what it is.
No.
But I think your true self and nature self is more optimistic than maybe the way you've kind of programmed yourself, I guess.
I
Yeah.
think too, like a comfort in showing that side more often to more people because
Yeah.
you know one interesting thing in the past, I would say, few years has been, you present something about your personality type to someone. So if you're familiar with the Enneagram, I'm an 8, and Enneagrams have wings. You can have a 9 wing or a 7 wing if you're an 8. A 7 wing is a little bit more boisterous and give them hell, whereas a 9 is a little bit more comforting and leans in towards more, diplomatic. I really resonate with that 8 wing 9, and it's very interesting to me to have conversations with people or even put a post out on my Instagram stories, and how certain people from my life will adamantly believe I am one, and adamantly believe I am another. And
Yeah.
not that I'm a different person, but like it definitely has shown me that there are certain people that I am very comfortable being my own self with
Hmm.
versus, putting on a show, but that I have felt in the past that I have to show up as a certain person. And I think that's very natural and very,
I think people do that. I think people put on shows based on kind of what they believe they're expected to put on, or to sort of, yeah, to sort of fit a mold for a certain person or whatever. Or again, this is like subconscious programming from really early in life. But
it's true. It's wild.
and it's so wild. Yeah, I can't wait to talk about programming. It's such a
What
beautiful.
I'll add it to the bucket. What I'll say quickly just about like the business side of gratitude, and building culture, because we have been very deliberate about building culture, I would say, in the last 12 to 18 months. It's really been a focus for us, even maybe 24 months. But one book I'd really recommend is Tribal Leadership. And that one really talks about your language as a leader and the languages of leaders, and changing a rhetoric from your affirmation being "I'm going to be great today" to "we're going to be great today." So this notion of talking about your community. And so again, I challenge from a gratitude perspective. Like, if you're the leader of a business, it is your job to implement gratitude. It's not going to come from a natural place. This is work. This is maybe grindy for everyone else there, but it comes from you then setting the tone of, okay, you've finished a meeting and that client was gross. It's your job as the boss to get everyone together and go, hey, you know what? Really grateful for the work we're doing. Grateful that our team knows that that's not a positive way to behave. Or grateful for the fact that we get to come together and laugh about this. Or grateful for, right? Like, I really want to iterate that it's not going to be anyone else in your organization but you as the business owner, you and your business partner, that come together to create a habit of gratefulness. And it starts with simply that. Hey, just want to let all you guys know I'm grateful for you today.
Totally. 100%. Yeah.
All right. There we
Thanks for
go.
listening.
Thank you for joining in for another episode of Two Babies in a Business. CIPR Communications is a public relations and digital marketing firm partnering with clients across North America to reach their brand reputation and lead generation goals. Follow us on social at CIPR Comms and check out our website ciprcommunications.com for more information. If you have questions or want to be part of a future podcast, reach out at media@ciprcommunications.com. I'm James Falls, CIPR's PR specialist, and I'm looking forward to our next episode. Subscribe on your Spotify or iTunes account so you don't miss the next one.